In the first movie, Newt has his case full of creatures.
You know, I loved the case so much. We had this idea that he had lived in his case for that year when he was collating the information for Fantastic Beasts.
In this movie, we get to see how he actually lives in London. Newt's home life is, to me, so endearing. I love Newt's house. It's kind of bare and boring.
The ground floor is very much a show home. It's not really where his world is. It's only when you go down this sort of Escher staircase and you find this absolutely mind-boggling menagerie, a hospital for creatures. You see the guy's character.
Bunty, the little ones are loose again.
Newt is keeping, highly illegally, a whole array of magical creatures safe in his enchanted basement.
One of the things that David and Joe and Stuart and I discussed was, does Newt sleep in his apartment? And that didn't make sense to me. He's a man that's much more at home, travelling through the jungle or out in the field.
Newt's the maverick. He goes out and deals with beasts and protects beasts.
And I felt now that he would still go and live down in his hammock down in the basement.
It's such a great metaphor for Newt. On the surface, so unassuming, and deep down, so fascinating and strange and deep.
Why do strange creatures love you so much?
Well, there are no strange creatures, only blinkered
blinkered people.
Bunty!
We had this beautiful environment. It's a classic example of Newt has taken his townhouse in London and he's applied some magic and made it into the slightly exaggerated version of a Georgian basement. But it's still got that architecture, the arches, the bricks have all been worked out. We've done all that exactly as it would be, but we've just made it huge. And for me, the stairs remind me slightly of the moving stairs in Harry Potter, so there's a slight nod to that.
Really an animal hospital, but a remarkable animal hospital, because as he did in his case, he recreates the habitats for each of the creatures to make sure they're at home.
With the help of visual effects in places, it's kind of infinite. There are landscapes and habitats in there for the creatures that just go on and on.
We did do some proper research for that set. We went to London Zoo and looked around their veterinary department. And so a lot of that is transposing those very ordinary modern ideas. We did make a lot of his equipment in there, and a lot of it was very much as they would do in the zoo today, you know, bits of string and pipe and cardboard, things they do to improvise medical equipment for animals. And we also had a great big operating light based on a 1950s, 60s operating light, but we add things to it. And that's what's so much fun, actually, adding period detail into something that's a different era.
My favourite creature down in Newt's basement is the kelpie.
I have one particular creature who is an underwater beast.
The kelpie is a mythical Scottish beast that lives in lochs. The inspiration really came from the name, and so we designed something initially based on kelp. Wouldn't it be great if this equine sort of creature was made out of kelp? It was at times unrecognisable underwater because it would just look like a field of kelp, and then it creates more of a horse-like shape when it breaks the surface.
It's a semi-spectral horse in mythology, and the horse would stand in a pond or a river, and people would go to take the horse, and it would dive and drown you the moment you got on its back. And the only way to tame it is to get a bridle on it, which is very difficult. So we watch Newt taming the kelpie.
So I've been learning to dive, to do like sort of deep sea diving.
You bite Bunty again, and there'll be trouble, mister.
Today, he has to wrestle with this kelpie, and so he dives into the water, and then I get soaked. And the first time I put my hand... So I had to do it a few times so I didn't react so much. And so I've just spent the last 2 hours drenched.
the Niffler's back, Pickett's back. It's been brilliant to be part of creating those originally, and now we get to do them again and trying to do everything better, obviously.
You see a couple of the old favourites from his case.
Okay, Niffler. Get looking. Oi, get looking.
So there's not only one scene stealer, there's now an entire family of scene stealers.
The Niffler was far away everyone's favourite creature in the first movie. And everyone kept saying to me afterwards, I want a Niffler, I wish I had a Niffler. And think this through. You don't want a Niffler, but, you know, they saw only the cuteness and maybe didn't appreciate the full destructiveness of this creature.
I think one of my most enjoyable scenes has been trying to wrangle a fleet of little babies.
The actors are very involved in what we're doing. They're watching previews as we're developing it, and they're giving us their character beats, and they're giving us ideas for what the creatures would do. Eddie's so familiar with his Nifflers.
Coming in, see Niffler, grab that goes there, capture that into the pocket.
He's saying, yeah, but I think I would do this with a Niffler, and the Niffler would behave like this. So it's great. It's a real collaboration.
Thoughts?
He doesn't hold back. If he's going to touch the head of a creature, if he's going to stroke it or interact with it, you need to be ready to take his full weight.
Working with CGI beasts is hilarious. It's totally bizarre. It's as weird and odd as you would imagine it to be. Sometimes you're working with actually nothing. So if you'll Pickett, for example, you just imagine him there. And then sometimes you have these amazing puppeteers doing extraordinary things. Sometimes you have men in full-body green suits looking ridiculous, and you're trying to pretend that they are some wondrous, fantastical creature. And sometimes you're looking at a cross on a stick. And what it does is it makes you get home every night feeling really tired because your imagination has been squished from every side. But I love it.
Hold on 1 second, I'll get my coat.